Okay, so today we're going to go through start to finish the process of creating this beautiful rose gold and mosaic opal ring. So let's get right into it. Starting out here in the CAD program, I didn't actually record myself building all of these pieces or doing the designs. That actually took me about 3 days. But I started out here with just the general shape of a stone, built a setting around it, and now I added in this really cool kind of natural tree shaped band coming up to the stone. Then I added in this maple leaf here. I started off with this kind of wavy texture, but then I go in a moment and I add this other texture on top of it, which really brings out the veins of the leaf. And then I added this really cool tree bark texture onto the band of the ring. Once I have my CAD model done, I need to get a wax blank prepared in order to mill it out. So I start off by putting this piece of wax into the lathe here. I'm milling one side nice and flat, that way it'll run true. Now I'm going to take and flip that over, and now I'm going to start milling down that wax to its final diameter. Once that's to the diameter that I need it to be, I mark a point on the wax, prepare my mill, mount the wax in the mill, get everything zeroed out and lined up, and then I run the program. Once the outer shape of the ring is milled out, I clean off all of the excess wax, and I mount it back onto the lathe. And now I'm going to start drilling out the center of the ring to get it off of this wax to separate it from the blank, and also to make the ring the proper ring size. It takes a lot of passes, just going little by little to make sure that everything is very accurate. Now that the ring has come off the lathe, I clean off all that little extra skin, and here's what I have. Now I'm putting these pieces of wax on. They're called sprues. Those are going to help the metal to flow into the ring You'll see a little bit more what that does later. Now I have those sprues built. So my next step is I'm going to weigh it. That way I can calculate how much gold I'm going to need to cast. Once I have that, then I can mount it onto the base. I want to get this wax as smooth as I possibly can. That way the gold will just flow right into the mold. Now I'm spraying it with this spray, which helps keep the investment from sticking to the wax, which would cause casting problems. So now I'm coming over and I'm mixing the investment here. This is kind of similar to a plaster, but it's specialized in order for casting precious metals. So I need to get the proper mixture of powder and water. Pour that into the mixer here. I didn't have a second person helping me to record this part, so I'm a lot messier than I normally am. But get that investment in there and get that mixed up for several minutes. Once that's mixed, I pour it into this rubber bowl here, and it's going to go through the first of 2 steps of vacuuming. So this vacuuming is going to pull out the air from inside the investment, and it's going to give us a much cleaner mold, a much cleaner cast rather. Now I'm going to pour that into the flask, which has our wax mold in it. And turn on the vacuum chamber and vacuum that out again. So after this, the flask is going to be set aside to dry for a few hours, and then it's going to cure in this kiln that you see here. So this is our casting machine. So we put our flask inside there in the little crucible that you could just barely see there.
You can see the gold right down in there.
There it is. That's the gold that's going to be melted down.
Turn the light off so you can kind of see the glow. Start seeing the crucible heating up now.
And in no time at all, you can see that chamber starting to heat up. Pretty soon that gold is going to melt, and then blink and you'll miss it, but you'll be able to see that gold drop into the flask. And there it is. So after this, the flask is then quenched. The investment reacts with the water and starts to disintegrate, and that allows us to get our now cast ring out. And there it is. After a little bit of cleanup, we'll get a better look at that. So now that this is cast, the first step here is to cut off those sprues. Interestingly, the ring looks very yellow here, but as we start to polish it, it's going to bring out that beautiful rose color. This extra block of gold here is called the button. The reason that we put so much extra gold is because it helps the gold to compress and fill in all of those little gaps while it's being cast. That button can be recast a couple of times before it needs to be sent off to a refinery. Now I'm going to begin to grind down the stump with what's left of that sprue. We're going to move through several grits of sandpaper here in order to get pretty close to a polish. And you'll see that rose color is starting to peek through. This is called a flap sander. It helps just get everything really, really nice and smooth, get out any scratches that are left, and also it helps give the ring a little bit of a more comfortable fit. So now I'm stamping the ring with a 14 karat stamp. And now I'm going to file off that outer part of the sprue and kind of tie that area into the design of the ring. This tool here is called a Krausver. I'm going to use this to add some growth rings into all those little stumps in the design. And if you'll notice, all these little stumps weren't actually in the CAD part that I recorded. This was probably 3 or 4 redesigns in, which is part of the reason that CAD took me 3 days to do. Here I'm just kind of touching up the direction of the tree bark, kind of just making it flow a little bit more naturally than what my computer program was able to do. Now I'm going to drill through the bottom of the stem of the leaf. Because of the milling process, there's extra metal under there that needs to be removed. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to really bring the leaf to life and make it look a lot more natural. Here again, I'm using my Kraus burr to clean that up a little bit more. And so here we're starting the process of polishing. This first polish is actually just to help me find any areas that I need to improve, areas where there may be lines left from the milling process, or there may be marks from casting. This is going to help me find all of those. I didn't record much of it because this actually takes several hours of finding areas, fixing them, polishing again, and repeating the process. Once I have that to a point that I like it, I then start polishing the inside of the ring, and now I'm going to get this to a beautiful mirror polish. Now I'm going to polish the outside of the ring as well. Alright, so the next step, I'm going to mount the ring into this vise here. And I'm going to test fit this Mosaic Opal. I intentionally oversized the prongs, that way that I can come back and cut them down, and that opal is just going to perfectly fit in there by the time I'm done. Now I'm going to use a very tiny cutting wheel in order to cut in the seats that I need in order for that stone to fit. And now it's time to set the stone. I start by putting a little dab of glue in there. That's just going to help keep everything secure as a fail-safe. With a stone as soft as opal, you don't really want to get those prongs down nearly as tight as you would for another stone, like say a sapphire or a ruby or a diamond, something like that. But I am going to pull those prongs over. My camera kind of went out of focus here, but I was a lot more focused on not breaking the stone than the recording, so fortunately this is the best I got. But I'm using my pliers to tighten down those prongs and get them to an angle to where that stone just can't come out. So here we're adding this really cool texture onto the leaf. It's another one of those little things that really just brought it to life. This tool is kind of like a miniature pneumatic hammer. And here's the finished product. This is definitely one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on. I think that this ring turned out absolutely beautiful, and I'm so happy to have been a part of it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.